On a bright Thursday afternoon, Kimberly, a Black American dedicated mother, was on her way to pick up her 2-year-old son Tyler from daycare. As she approached the daycare center, she was pulled over by a police officer. The officer, known for his troubling behavior, approached her vehicle with a smirk. "Good afternoon, ma'am. Do you know why I pulled you over?" he asked, peering through her window with undue interest. "No, officer, I was driving within the speed limit," Kimberly responded, her voice steady despite the anxiety bubbling inside her. The officer scoffed. "You were speeding, and more importantly, you look suspicious." His tone was condescending, his insinuations clear given Kimberly's race. "I assure you I was not speeding. May I know what exactly was suspicious?" Kimberly asked, maintaining her composure. Instead of answering, the officer demanded her license and registration. As Kimberly complied, he made a derogatory remark about her being one of those people who always cause trouble. Kimberly felt her heart sink. She knew this situation could escalate. She remembered her phone was still connected to her friend Moran, who had been on speakerphone during the incident. Quietly, she hoped Moran was still listening. The officer, after a cursory look at her documents, suddenly declared he smelled marijuana and demanded she step out of the vehicle. "I need to search your car. You're obviously hiding something," he insisted. "I do not consent to a search. I've done nothing wrong," Kimberly stated, her voice firmer now. The situation was slipping out of control, and she could hear her son's laughter in her mind, spurring her to remain calm. Ignoring her protests, the officer insisted, leading her to the back of her car under the guise of searching for drugs. Kimberly stood resolutely, though fear crept up her spine. As the officer rummaged through her belongings, his sergeant, who had been passing by and noticed the encounter, stopped. The sergeant, Officer Brian, recognized Kimberly from community events and immediately sensed something was amiss. "Officer, what seems to be the problem here?" Brian interjected, stepping closer. "This woman was speeding and I suspect she's carrying drugs," the harassing officer replied, not realizing whom he was accusing. Officer Brian looked at Kimberly, then back at his subordinate. "I know Ms. Livingston, and she would do no such thing. Plus, you have no evidence of speeding or drugs. Why did you really pull her over?" The racist officer stuttered, his facade beginning to crumble under the scrutiny of his superior. Just then, Moran's voice echoed from the car's speakers. "Kim, are you okay? I heard everything." Realizing the encounter had witnesses and his behavior was completely inappropriate and racially charged, Officer Brian took immediate action. He reprimanded the racist officer and apologized to Kimberly, ensuring her that this incident would lead to a thorough investigation and consequences for the offending officer. Kimberly, though shaken, felt a wave of relief wash over her. She thanked Officer Brian, who assured her that justice would be served. As she drove off to pick up Tyler, the weight of the encounter lingered, but so did the comfort of knowing that there were still people in the world who would stand up for what's right. Later that day, as Kimberly watched Tyler take his first steps at the daycare, she felt a renewed sense of hope. Despite the day's challenges, she was reminded of the progress and love that surrounded her both at home and in her community. What lesson have you learned from this story? Please like this video and subscribe. Thank you for watching.